Hi, everyone. I'm Anna, creator and founder of the Queen Sweep, and I am here with one of my amazing Queen Sweep alumni, Sandi. Hi, Sandi.
Hello, Anna.
Thanks so much for being here with us and for offering to talk to us a little bit about your experience and tell us some of your stories.
Well, thanks for having me.
So, Sandi, you have done the Queen Sweep. Let's see, when did you first join our group and start this whole process?
It was probably 3 or 4 years ago. As I'm thinking, I moved several times over a few years, and I'm thinking it was which house I was in when I started.
That's how I mark time too. Which country was I living in? Which house was I in? And what drew you to the Queen Sweep? What made you think that might be something that would be even helpful to you?
So, well, I had found you on the internet, and it just looked so interesting, your whole website and the alchemy and the secret society. But it looked like something I would want to do, and I took some of your free classes, and just really like the way you present things, and just the way your whole itinerary was, or your how you did things. So I thought I'd give it a try.
That is so
and
awesome.
I had lots of things to sweep. So
yeah, did you have a lot of like physical clutter or just general overwhelm, or
just a little bit of everything? It just seemed like a good time to just move things around, get things done. And it's I think what first really resonated with me was it's a spiral. You're never really finished. You just keep doing it and doing it and doing it, because that's how life is,
there's no end point, right? There's never like, and now I have arrived and I will stay in this.
Well, maybe there's like 30 seconds. It's like, it's like that moment when the laundry's all done and you have that 30 seconds.
It literally lasts like 30 seconds. It's so true. And I have 5 kids, and you have had 5 kids. And so, I mean, oh my gosh.
We know about laundry, don't we?
So you joined the Queen Sweep and you started moving things around, as you said. And what was that like for you? What did that kick off in your life or shift in your life?
I was at a point in my life where I really needed some structure. And so that was helpful, that, this week I'll work on this and next week I'll work on that. And I never quite got it all done. Like I said, I know that it's
like life. We're never all done.
But each time I go through the Queen Sweep, I can focus on something a little bit different, or go back and do part of it that I didn't get done before, or so it's something that just becomes part of your life, I think.
And what do you think has had the most effect? Was there one particular section, like, was it the house week, or the time room, or the working on the wardrobe, or was there one thing that really made a difference, or was it the combination of all of it?
I think having the timer and knowing that you can accomplish a lot in a few minutes. And I still don't do that as well as I should, but I have my timer right on I have a magnetic one, so it sticks right on the wall. And, just that, I really like that. And then, many of the rooms, I like that there's so many. I still have not completely cleaned my closet, but maybe next time. I only have one closet, so it's not like this vast amount of clothing I have, but the whole changing your style or working. I tend to not think about myself a lot. So, it's just, so it's like, what do I like? What would I wear? What, if I could do, what would my style be? I think I gloss over that when we do that. So this next time I'm going to try to really do that.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna get you a style statement. We're gonna have your words. It's gonna be great. Awesome. And I know that prior to starting the Queen Sweep and joining this group of women, you've had some really intense, tragic times in your life, and you've so generously offered to share this part of your story, because one of the things that that we do in the Queen Sweep group that I think is really special is that we take off some of those facades, right? And we don't just show our shiny exterior social public selves to each other, but we really open up our hearts to each other. And that's really taught me the power of our stories and of authentically connecting with other people, not just our pretty outsides, but showing each other some of our harder things and our messier insides. And so I'm so honored that you're willing to talk with us about this. But you had a period in your life where a lot of things fell apart all at once.
Yes, I did. But it was a few years ago, so I'm feeling better about it all now. But I did. It was like one thing would happen and then another and another and another. And it was just, you start to wonder why you're the one with the rain cloud over your head, and everything happening at once.
Yeah. And then you lost some loved ones. Yeah. So on top of everything happening, you had this unbelievable grief to deal with.
Yes. And grief never goes away. You learn to deal with it, and you learn to handle it, and get better with it. But it's something that people, if they haven't experienced it, don't realize that it changes your life, and it's part of your life forever. And you need to find ways to work with it and to go on with your life. One of the things with grief is people would say, when you're not your old self, when are you going to get back to your old self? And you're a new self. You have to learn to do that. But people don't understand that. They think there's a finite period of time you're grieving, and usually people think that's a year. And then you're done, and you're back to who you
just go back to who you were.
Yeah, you go back to who you were, and you don't. And I think that's probably the thing people don't realize the most. And that it's not catching that too, because I think
you said one of the things that happened is that right when you had lost these people that you loved, you felt like people suddenly sort of kept their distance, like they were afraid that you were contagious a little bit.
So, but yes, I think people treated you differently. And I have to say part of that was probably me too, because I know that I pushed people away sometimes just because I wasn't comfortable. I kind of really cocooned into my family, and people wanted to help, but they don't know what to do, and they don't know what to say. And you can just feel it, that they're thinking, oh, I don't want this to happen to me, or this won't happen to me if I'm really nice to her, or, it's just kind of an odd thing.
So what advice would you have to someone who, to people who want to be helpful, who want to support someone who's going through incredible loss?
I think tell the person you're there, just be there if they want to talk. Don't give them advice. People always want to give you advice, and I think being a quiet presence sometimes helps as much as, and understand that if the grieving person doesn't react quite the way you think they should, to give them a little leeway, because they're not going to, sometimes they will push you away, or they won't act like you think they should, or be as appreciative of your of the way that you want to help them. So I think to be there, tell them you're there, listen to them cry. I think one of the things in our society is that we want to be strong. We don't, as the grieving person, you always want to be strong, and you don't want to let people see you cry. And I cried everywhere. And I think it helped me get through it. I mean, I cried one time in a craft store. I started crying when a song came on. Music is awful in stores. That's probably one of the worst things, is that, you hear music. And I started crying at the checkout, and the lady thought it was because I couldn't use my coupon. And so she's saying, "I'm sorry, your coupon just didn't." I'm like sobbing. I thought, this is really dumb, but I am not going to feel bad about it.
Yeah.
So I cried. I was very good at crying to strangers. I wasn't. So I think if you, let your feelings out and don't worry about it. But I have several people I've met who said, "Oh no, I would never cry. I make myself not cry." And I'm like, "Hey, I cry to the ladies in the bathroom, anybody I see."
That's so healthy. Let those feelings out.
Yeah. So.
Oh man. What do you have to tell people who are in the midst of their own personal hell, who are right in the thick of it? How do you live through something that you think you can't live through?
Sounds kind of cheesy probably, but find somebody to help. There's always other people that are going through things, and if you can make their lives a little bit better, it seems to help. I think one of the hardest things for me was realizing that none of this stuff was happening to my friends or the people I knew, or their lives were all perfect, and which I know they aren't, but they seemed like it. And then I got involved with some grief groups. And then actually I started working part-time in a funeral home and working with families. And you see that, yes, this is part of life. This does happen. Terrible things do happen to people. And I think trying to just help them a little bit makes it better for you, or made it better for me to know that I had not been singled out, that there were other people that bad things happen to, and it's not through no fault of our own, or it's just something. And it's not like I'm looking for people whose lives were worse than mine or anything, but just feeling like that you could have some compassion for other people. I think that helped.
That's such wise advice. Because you told me at one point that after your family experienced such tragedy, that you felt like your life was over. And you couldn't imagine sort of life going on. You couldn't imagine how you could possibly reinvent yourself, and yet here you are.
Life is always surprising, even when you think you know what's happening or what's going to happen, you never do. So I think you have to just keep your options open. And my life isn't perfect or wonderful. I'm doing better than okay. But it's still not the life I would have chosen, but it's I'm doing good.
Yeah. And you found a way to turn all of your compassion and heart and all of those maternal instincts to shepherd a whole new crew of young men. Is it okay to tell everybody what you're doing now? Go, why don't you tell them?
What I'm doing, I'm a house mom for a fraternity. I have 27 young men that I live with. So I'm the only female in a house of 27 young guys. So it's every day surprising. Every day's funny. Excuse me. Funny. It's it's good to see how they think, and it kind of gives you some hope for the future. I
Does
think
it?
really.
Oh, that's so
Sometimes,
great.
well, when they're not acting like 12-year-old boys, but 12-year-old boys are good too. But it's but yeah, it's nice to hear their opinions, and I'm a background person. I'm not right there all the time because when you're in college, you go to get away from your parents. You don't really. When you're so I try to balance between being around and not being around too much. So I think I'm doing okay with it. Who knows?
I think it's amazing. I think it's incredible that you are helping this group of people, find their way out in the world.
So I hope so. I hope someday they have fond memories of whoever that old lady was that's lived in the house with us. Because of course anybody over about 25 is
old.
Of
course. Positively ancient, I'm sure. Yeah.
And I'm over 25. So.
Oh, well, we've so appreciated having your wisdom and warmth in our Queen Sweep group. Yeah, and it's just been amazing to watch people share themselves with each other. What has it been like for you to be a part of this virtual group? You've got all these young men in your physical space, and you've got all these, all over the map in every way, women in your virtual world. What has that been like for you?
So, well, I'm pretty quiet usually on the phone calls.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying, now that I've done this has been a big step for me, doing an interview, that I think I'll probably speak up more. But I always, I keep up with everything. So I know what everybody's doing, and just knowing that they're all, anytime you have kindred spirits or like-minded people, it's always just one of those yes moments, where you so I really enjoy that, and enjoy the groups and the phone calls, and just, it's like, I don't know, it's nice knowing that I have friends all over.
Yeah, literally all over. And they're in all different time zones because they're all around the world. So there's always somebody awake.
Oh no, we're going to be having an interview like at 7:00 in the morning because I went backwards instead of forward.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how I did that, because usually I don't have trouble with the time.
We've got our Australian women and our women in Hong Kong and Japan, and so we've got this crew.
I'm West, so
yes, yes. Oh.
So.
Well, for anyone who's watching this because they're interested in the Queen Sweep and they're wondering, can this work for me? I've heard it'll work for other people. What would you say to them? Who do you think that this might be helpful for?
I think it can be helpful for anybody. And even if you aren't able to do the whole every week, every broom, you can always go back to it. I mean, I have a notebook with the brooms printed out, and just can read them and do little things at a time. So I think that it's, like I said, I just think it's a great thing. And I love the whole concept of the Queen Sweep, and just getting to know about the other people, and seeing your life, and just things.
It's really cool to see the behind the scenes in lots of people's lives, and you get to see all this progress that to someone who's just walking in for the first time, it might seem like, well, I don't really, that's not that big a deal, but that for this person, it's marking progress, and all those little things can, really,
they just add up.
They do. They add up. Yeah.
They add up. So it's a little, I mean, I think, if I did every bit of it every single day, I might not be able to, just because of me. Just because I might not do it, but knowing that I can set my timer for 5 minutes and, get something done, or I can, think about my finances, or just, all the different components.
So it sounds like you're saying maybe that even if you don't do, every step of every week's programs, materials perfectly, even just the little bits here and there have made a difference for you?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. So, and
is there one habit or one, oh, sorry.
Someday I will do it perfectly. But
there's no such thing as perfectly. No. That's why it's a spiral.
Yeah, it's the spiral, which I really like that concept, that it's the spiral and we keep, keep going around.
So as you've been going around the spiral, is there one, habit or system or space or something that you sort of can't imagine living with, or sorry, without, like you can't imagine now that you have it or you've got it, you can't imagine going back to life without it?
Well, like I said, I like the timer. I like the 5 minute or just knowing, or the sweeps. Sometimes when we have a big sweep, I don't get all the way through it, but I kind of do it on my own. So I think those, and just the different, that there's so many areas to your life that you can work on. I like that idea, that there's so many different things. And each time I go through it, I try to do something, kind of concentrate on one thing. So a little bit more than others.
Yeah. What's really cool is watching people go around the spiral and something that they really struggled with the first time. The second time, it's like, well, that piece is easy. So now I'm going to dive into this even scarier thing, or whether it's paper or money or organizing their to-dos or their calendars. Everybody's got something that feels overwhelming to them. Awesome. Awesome. Well, anything else you want to tell people before we wrap up?
Just that I think it's a great program, and I'm so glad to be involved in it. So
thank you. I'm so glad you're involved in our group too. We love you, and you're such an amazing part of our community. So thank you so much. I know today was a little bit scary for you, so thank you.
My first
warrior crown.
Oh, where'd it go? I brought it out.
Yes,
sent out on one of the.
Oh, that's so great! I love it.
Oh, yes, I keep it on display.
Awesome. We have all this Queen Speak lingo that we've developed over the years, and we brags and wearing your crown, and it's so great to see you wearing it metaphorically and literally. Oh, you just made my day. Oh, well, thank you so much.
Because that's something that you always think, it has to be something big. It doesn't count unless it's big. But life is made up of all these little things. That's kind of what it is. So I like the wee brags too.
Yeah. I don't know anywhere else where people will cheer with you because you're like, I cleaned out one little drawer, or I set up my front door so that I don't forget my gloves. It's just little things, but like you said, added together, they make a life. So
they do. So,
well, thank you so much for sharing your time and your spirit and your story with us. I just love you so much, and I'm so grateful that you're part of our community. Thank you, Sandi.
Well, I'm so happy, and I'm so glad you're my Queen Sweep friend.
Yes.